$8 in tools once saved a family from ruin. In 1963, a man in Flint, Michigan fixed his neighbor's transmission in a gravel driveway. He used a coffee can of old motor oil, a length of stove wire, and a feeler gauge he'd ground down by hand. The job took him 80 minutes. That car ran another 11 years. The dealership had quoted the neighbor $92 for the same repair, more than a week's wages at the plant. $8 of tools closed a hole that a single invoice would have blown wide open. And here's the thing. That man wasn't special. He was ordinary. Every father on that street could have done the same. I'm Phil, and today I want to hand you 25 repair tricks that every American father just knew back in the 1960s. The kind of quiet know-how that's been erased by service contracts and sealed systems and little error codes nobody can read. Some of these will make you laugh. Some will make you sit up. And at least one of them will fix something in your house tonight for pocket change, a problem a repairman would happily charge you $300 for. Stick around for number 22. That one kept 50,000 backyards mowed for a nickel. Let's start the countdown at number 25. Number 25. The stuck drawer. Every house has one. A kitchen drawer that slides fine in winter, then swells up tight in the humid heat of July and fights you every time you pull it. Most folks today assume the slides are shot and go buy a whole new set of drawer glides. A father in the 60s knew better. That wasn't a hardware problem. It was a dry wood problem. He'd take a block of plain canning paraffin, the same wax used to seal jelly jars, and rub it hard along the wooden runners on both sides. The friction melted a thin film of wax straight into the pine. By the second pull, that drawer slid silent as a whisper. And it stayed quiet clear through September. Here's your tip. Don't grease it with oil or butter. That turns to gum and grabs dust. Dry wax only. A candle stub works in a pinch. And do the runners and the guides. A replacement slide set today runs you $45 and a weekend of cussing under a cabinet. The wax was already in the house. Number 24 is dripping right now in half the kitchens in America. Number 24, the dripping faucet. That slow drip at the kitchen sink all night long. Tap, tap, tap. People hear it and picture a plumber and a bill. But a dripping faucet is almost never a broken faucet. It's a 10-cent rubber washer. A father would shut the water off under the sink, unscrew the chrome cap, pull the stem, and there it was. One worn rubber washer flattened out on a little brass screw. He'd peel it off, drop a fresh one on, and reassemble. Total time, 4 minutes. Total cost, a dime. For a fireman in Queens raising 3 kids, that repair happened twice a year and never once cost him a workday. A plumber in 2024 charges around $260 for the exact same job. Your checklist. Turn off the shutoff valve first. Always. Match the washer by size, not by guess. Take the old one to the store. And while you're in there, look at the brass seat. If it's rough, a little seat dressing tool smooths it so the new washer lasts. Number 23 snapped on a Wednesday morning and left a man driving on sparks. Number 23. The dragging muffler. A rusted exhaust strap lets go, and suddenly your muffler is scraping down the road throwing sparks. A father in 1963 did not call a tow truck for that. He reached into the hall closet. He'd pull a wire coat hanger, straighten it out, then bend it into a double loop with a pair of fence pliers. Up under the car, he'd sling that loop around the muffler and back up over the frame, then twist it off tight. The muffler rode snug again. That fix lasted until the next oil change, sometimes a whole lot longer. For 7,000 miles, a 5-cent coat hanger was a genuine structural part of that automobile. Now, one word of caution I'll add that they didn't always think about. Keep the wire well clear of anything that gets hot enough to glow, and check it when you change the oil. A muffler shop today wants 100 and up just to put your car on the lift. Number 22 kept a nation's lawns cut on a nickel's worth of nothing. Number 22, the mower that won't start. Spring comes. You yank the cord on the lawnmower, and nothing. 9 times out of 10 in those days, it wasn't a dead motor. It was a fouled spark plug, the tip crusted black with carbon. A father would pull the plug with a socket wrench, take a plain fingernail file or a bit of fine sandpaper, and dress the electrode and the gap until the carbon flaked off in little black chips. Plug back in, cord pulled, and the engine caught on the first try. A new plug cost 40 cents. He filed the old one anyway, because filing was free. A small engine shop today quotes $90 for that service, plus a 2-week wait while your grass goes to jungle. Tip: check the gap with a matchbook cover or a proper gauge. Too wide and it won't spark. And a plug that fouls again in a week is telling you the mixture's too rich or the air filter's choked. Fix the cause, not just the plug. Number 21 hung a woman's drapes for 19 years. Number 21. The broken curtain rod. A thin metal curtain rod bends or snaps, and off people go to the store for a new one. A father just walked out to the garage. A broken broom handle, cut to length with a hacksaw, dropped right into the brackets already on the wall. He'd sand it smooth and rub it down with a little walnut oil to hide the raw wood. And here's the surprise. The curtains slid across that wooden dowel better than they ever did on the flimsy metal rod they replaced. A wife in Baltimore hung her drapes on one of those for 19 years. Simple tip: match the diameter to your rings before you cut, and a coat of paste wax lets the curtains glide. This one cost you nothing but 10 minutes. Number 20 is a trick for a January morning that most people have completely forgotten. Number 20, the frozen car lock. 20 below, and the car door lock is froze solid. Key won't turn. Most folks today jab at it and snap the key off, or run inside for a hairdryer and an extension cord in the snow. A father kept a candle stub in the glove box for exactly this. He'd hold the tip of the key over the flame for about 5 seconds, just till the brass darkened, then slide the warm key straight into the lock. The heat melted the ice inside, the tumblers freed up, and the door opened. Locksmiths in the 60s did not get emergency January calls. Every father had already solved it with a nickel candle. Careful tip: warm the key, not your fingers, and don't force it. Let the heat do the work. A tube of lock de-icer today is $6 and always empty when you need it. The candle never runs out. Number 19 kept a radio playing right through the moon landing. Number 19, the frayed cord. The power cord on the radio frays right at the base of the plug. A father did not throw the radio away over that. He'd strip the insulation back another half-inch with his pocket knife, twist the copper strands tight between his thumb and finger, then bind the splice with the little wire tie off a loaf of bread. Over that went 3 tight wraps of black electrical tape. That radio played another 12 years. It got passed down to a grandson who listened to the moon landing on it in '69. Now, I'll be straight with you. On modern gear, I'd rather you just replace the cord and never leave bare copper where it can be touched. But the principle stands. A frayed cord is a 5-minute fix, not a reason to buy a new appliance. Number 18 made a foul-smelling kitchen sink smell clean in an hour. Number 18, the smelly drain. A kitchen sink that smells like something crawled in and died. Most people reach for a drain snake or a jug of caustic chemicals. A father reached for yesterday's coffee. A full scoop of grounds from the percolator went down the drain, followed by a kettle of boiling water poured slow. The grounds scrubbed the pipe walls on the way down, and the heat cut the grease. The smell lifted within the hour. A drain call in 1963 cost $8. Today it runs $350. Tip: this is for smell and light grease on a running drain, not a full clog. If the water's not draining at all, that's a different job. And follow it now and then with baking soda and a vinegar chase to keep it sweet. Number 17 made a cracked dashboard disappear from 6 feet away. Number 17, the cracked dashboard. The vinyl dash on an old Plymouth cracks in the summer sun. That was never a body shop job to a father. A small tin of matching shoe polish, rubbed into the crack with a rag and buffed smooth. And that crack vanished from 6 feet away. Better still, the polish resealed the vinyl and kept it from cracking further under the heat. A father in Phoenix did this every April like clockwork. A dashboard recovered today costs $1,100. The polish was a quarter. Tip: match the color close and work it in thin layers. It won't fool a collector up close, but it stops the spread and buys that dash years. Number 16 silenced a squeaking door for good. Something a can of spray never does. Number 16, the squeaking hinge. A squeaky door hinge is not an oil problem. That's the mistake. Oil drips, it catches lint, and it gums right back up within a month. So you spray it again and again. It's a subscription. A father rubbed a soft pencil hard across the hinge pin, then worked the door open and shut a few times. The graphite is a dry lubricant. It coats the metal and it does not attract dust. The squeak stopped, and it stayed stopped. The pencil was a permanent fix. The spray can is a monthly bill. Tip: lift the pin if you can and coat it all the way down, or buy a little tube of powdered graphite for a couple dollars. Dry lube, always, on a hinge. Number 15 cleaned a steam iron with something off the kitchen roll. Number 15, the dragging iron. A steam iron that pulls threads and drags on a cotton shirt isn't a broken iron. The sole plate is just gunked up with starch and scorch. Lay a sheet of aluminum foil flat on the ironing board. Run the iron over it at medium heat for 30 seconds, and the sole plate comes away polished clean and gliding again. Some folks sprinkled a little salt on the foil for extra bite. An iron cost $14.63. Foil cost a nickel a yard. That iron outlasted 3 presidents. Tip: no steam while you do it, and wipe the plate after. Same trick shines up a scorched pan bottom. Number 14 brought a crusted-up kettle back to life with $2 of vinegar. Number 14, the crusted kettle. A tea kettle crusted white with mineral scale isn't dead. That's just hard water lime built up inside. Half a cup of white vinegar, half a cup of water, brought to a hard boil and then left to cool. The acid dissolves the scale right off the walls in a gray film. Rinse it twice and it whistles clear again, and boils water about 20% faster because the scale was insulating the metal. A new kettle today runs $40. A bottle of vinegar costs $2. Tip: same fix works in a coffee maker, a shower head, a steam iron's tank. Anywhere water leaves that chalky crust. Rinse well so nothing tastes like a salad. Number 13 cleaned glass streakless with something you'd throw in the recycling. Number 13, streaky windows. A wife in 1963 did not clean the storm windows with paper towels and a bucket of chemicals. She used crumpled newspaper and a spray bottle of half vinegar, half water. The ink acted as a mild abrasive, and the newspaper soaked up the solution, without leaving a speck of lint behind. The windows came up streakless, in half the time of any modern method. A commercial streak-free cleaner today runs $6 a bottle and still leaves streaks. Tip: black and white newsprint only, the glossy ads smear. Vinegar and water in the bottle. Buff dry with a fresh crumple. Try it once and you'll never buy blue spray again. Number 12 fixed a running toilet with something out of the matchbook. Number 12, the running toilet. A toilet handle that quits latching so the tank runs all night. That usually did not need a new handle. A father snapped a wooden kitchen match in half and wedged the broken end into the gap between the handle arm and the chain linkage. The pressure seated the handle back into its working position. the toilet flushed clean, the tank filled, and it stopped running. A plumber would have charged a day's pay for that. Now, I'll level with you. That's a roadside patch. It buys you time. The real fix is a $2 flapper or handle, and I'll show that in another video. But that match stops the water and the noise tonight. Number 11 got 2 more summers out of a mower for the price of a cereal box. Number 11, the mower running rough at half throttle. A lawnmower that surges and runs rough at half throttle often had a carburetor that had worked loose and pulled an air leak at the gasket. A father cut a piece of cereal box to match the mounting flange, soaked that cardboard in motor oil for an hour, then sandwiched it between the carburetor and the engine block and bolted it down tight. The oil-soaked cardboard sealed the gap like a fresh gasket. The mower ran smooth again. That mower got 2 more summers out of a nickel's worth of cardboard. Tip: snug the carb bolts even and check for the air leak first with a squirt of carb cleaner. If the engine surges when you hit the leak, that's your gasket. A real gasket's a couple bucks when you get to it. Number 10 cleaned a hazed windshield clear enough to read a billboard a half-mile off. Number 10. The bug-hazed windshield. A windshield hazed with summer bug splatter and road tar did not mean a trip to the car wash. A paste of baking soda and water, scrubbed on with a wet rag in tight circles. The fine granules lifted the grime without scratching the glass. Rinse it off with the garden hose, and it came up clear enough to read a billboard from half a mile away. A specialized glass cleaner today costs $8. A box of baking soda cost 15 cents, and cleaned the whole house besides. Tip: keep it off fresh wax on the paint and rinse well. Same paste takes bug guts off the chrome and the headlights too. Number 9 thawed a frozen garden hose on a 20 below morning. Number 9. The frozen hose. A garden hose, frozen solid on a 20 below February morning, was not a spring replacement. A teaspoon of glycerin, the kind kept in the medicine cabinet for cough syrup, poured into one end. The hose laid flat on the concrete, and the glycerin worked through by gravity and a few firm taps of the palm. The ice crystals inside broke up within the hour, and the hose flexed again by afternoon. Nobody outside of Minnesota ever seemed to know about that one. Tip: glycerin lowers the freeze point and won't rot the rubber like antifreeze would. And come fall, drain your hoses and coil them warm, and you won't need the trick at all. Number 8 made a handsaw cut like it was slicing warm butter. Number 8, the binding saw. A handsaw binding and sticking in a green 2x4 wasn't a dull saw. It was a dry saw. A chunk of beeswax or a cake of canning wax rubbed along both faces of the blade. The wax cut the friction, and the saw moved through the wood like it was cutting butter. And here's the part that mattered. That saw lasted decades because it never overheated against dry, grabbing wood. Heat is what ruins a blade's temper. Tip: wax the blade, not just the wood, and re-wax when it starts to drag. Works on a plain sole, a drawer, a stuck screw. A block of beeswax lasts years. Number 7 stopped a whistling front door for $12. Number 7, the whistling door. A front door whistling cold air in every January did not mean a new door. A strip of cloth medical tape ran along the gap on the hinge side, then got dusted with baby powder so it wouldn't stick to the frame. The draft stopped dead. The door still opened and closed like normal, and come April the tape peeled off clean, no residue. A weather stripping kit today costs $35. The tape took 4 minutes and cost $12. Tip: the talc is the secret. It lets the tape seal without gluing the door shut. For a permanent job, adhesive V-strip is cheap, but this gets you through the cold snap tonight. Number 6 freed a snapped-off bolt with nothing but a punch and patience. Number 6, the broken bolt. A steel bolt sheared off flush inside a cast-iron engine block. That's a job that terrifies people today. It was not a machine shop to a father. It was a sharp center punch, a ball-peen hammer, and patience. He'd strike the broken stud at an angle, tapping a spiral pattern counterclockwise, the loosening direction. The vibrations walked the stud slowly outward. Within 20 minutes, the broken piece spun free by fingertip. Every mechanic over 60 knows this. Almost no mechanic under 30 has ever seen it done. A machine shop today charges $110 for that extraction and takes a week. Tip: soak it in penetrating oil first, tap toward loosening, and be patient. Little taps walk it out. Big blows snap it worse. Number 5 brought a rusted tool back from the dead with kitchen salt. Number 5, the rust-pitted tool. A rust-pitted garden tool was not thrown out. A father mixed a heavy brine of kitchen salt and warm water in a coffee can, submerged the pitted head, and left it 3 days. The salt brine converted the flaky red oxide into a stable black oxide that scrubbed right off with a wire brush. He rinsed it, dried it, and rubbed it down with bacon grease to seal it. The tool came back to life, and the tool he saved had belonged to his father. Tip: dry it bone dry the second it's out of the brine, or fresh rust flashes back in minutes. Oil or wax it right away. This works on hand tools, hinges, old hardware, anything solid steel. Number 4 fixed a leaking water pump for the price of a bicycle tube. Number 4, the leaking water pump gasket. A leaking water pump gasket on the family car did not mean a trip to the dealership. A section cut from a worn-out bicycle inner tube was traced to match the old gasket and punched through with a leather hole punch. It bolted in place, bolts snugged evenly in a crisscross pattern, and that pump ran leak-free for another 40,000 miles. The dealer wanted $14 for the part. The bicycle tube was already hanging in the garage. Tip: trace the old gasket exactly, punch the holes clean, and always tighten in a crisscross so it seats even. Rubber for water, cork or fiber for oil and fuel. Match the material to the job. Number 3 ran a smoking furnace clean all winter on an empty coffee can. Number 3, the smoking furnace. A home oil furnace that smoked on every cold start was not a furnace to replace. A clean coffee can with the top and bottom cut out slid over the burner tube as a heat shield during ignition. It directed the initial flame and stopped the sooting that had been coating the combustion chamber. The can glowed cherry red for 10 seconds, then cooled. The furnace ran clean for another whole winter. A new burner assembly today runs $900. Now, furnaces are one place I want you careful. Oil and gas equipment is nothing to guess at, but knowing that soot on startup is a burner tuning issue, not a dead furnace, can save you from a salesman who wants to sell you a whole new unit. Number 2 found a slow tire leak with a milk jug. Number 2, the slow tire leak. A car tire slowly losing air over a week did not mean a trip to the tire shop. A plastic milk jug filled with soapy water sloshed around the valve stem and the bead, and the leak showed itself exactly. A steady stream of tiny bubbles right where the air was escaping. 9 times out of 10, it was the valve stem core. A new core cost 15 cents at the gas station and threaded in with a tiny tool that lived in every American glove box. The leak stopped in 3 minutes. A tire inspection today costs $90, just to tell you the same thing. Tip: soapy water in a spray bottle finds any leak. Tires, propane fittings, air lines, watch for the bubbles. That's the whole test. And number 1, the simplest repair on this entire list, and the one most thoroughly erased from the American mind. Number 1, the quarter turn, the humblest fix on this whole list, and the one that, more than any other, defined what a 1960s father actually was. When something in the house rattled, wobbled, leaked, squealed, or ran rough, his first move was not to diagnose it. It was not to look up a part. He walked up to the thing, put his hand on every visible fastener in turn, and gave each one a quarter turn with the tool already in his pocket: a screwdriver, a crescent wrench, a pair of channel locks. 9 times out of 10, one of those fasteners was loose. The quarter turn closed the gap. The rattle stopped. The leak sealed. The wobble disappeared. The job was done in under a minute. He didn't call it troubleshooting. He called it checking. And he did it before every other thought, because a thing that was loose was not broken, and a thing that wasn't broken did not need a part. That's the whole secret of this list, right there. A tenant in an apartment in 1963 could fix most of his own home, because the home was built by people who assumed he would. A homeowner today often can't, because the home is built by people who assume he'll call. So there you have it. 25 repair tricks every father just knew. And notice the one idea running through all of them. These weren't clever hacks. They were the ordinary working knowledge of men who believed, right down to the grain of their hands, that the house they lived in was their responsibility. He didn't need a permit to tighten a screw. He didn't need a certification to swap a washer. He didn't need an app to find the draft in his own front door. He walked up to the problem. He looked at it, and he fixed it. We didn't lose the tools. We didn't lose the parts. We lost the belief that the problem belonged to us in the first place. And the fathers who still carry that belief are almost all over 80 now. What they know goes with them, unless somebody sits down beside them with a screwdriver in hand and asks to be shown. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Pick just one of these 25. Go try it. And come back and tell me in the comments what you fixed and what it would have cost you. I answer every single one. I'll keep digging these up for you every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And go take care of your own. I'm Phil. I'll see you in the next one.